Tyrants begin to prosper when they can suppress free speech. And right now, what we have is a liberal establishment that is happily allowing a chilling and a closing down of free speech in the UK. The church avoids Speaker's Corner because our spirituality in the Western church has become one for wimps, effeminate blokes, and masculine women. We as Christians must rediscover what it means to listen to Christ's words and be his disciples when he said, "Fear no man, for man can only destroy the body, but fear him whom, having destroyed the body, can then cast the soul into hell." So here we are at Speaker's Corner, and outside Speaker's Corner at the moment, as you can probably see if JC just pans over there, there's a protest going on with some ethnic nationalists and some anti-fascista. And what this brings home to me, and I think it's worth commenting on, is the importance of free speech for a good society. The church had to learn a hard lesson that you can't force people to be Christian. Because all that does is result in hypocrisy. And sadly, this is a kind of lesson that is instituted within Islam. Because of the apostasy laws, there are many people pretending to be Muslims who, to all intents and purposes, have left the faith because they don't believe it in their hearts and they don't believe it in their minds. They just do what they need to do to have an easy life. And so it cultivates hypocrisy. But the church learnt not to do that. The church learnt the hard way, that was pointless. And free speech has grown out of a society that rejected the church. But as a Christian, I can honestly say I see the value of it, because a free society permits the gospel to be spread. And it is the antidote to tyranny. Tyrants begin to prosper when they can suppress free speech. And right now, what we have is a liberal establishment that is happily allowing a chilling and a closing down of free speech in the UK. Because the liberal establishment benefits from it. And the reason why they benefit from it is because there's less risk of public discord if people are corralled into certain channels to have certain points of view and not allowed others. And so it is important to defend everyone's right to speech. And Speaker's Corner is a symbol of that very thing. People can come here and they can say nearly everything, even if we think that the police are probably collecting dossiers on everyone. The fact of the matter is that Speaker's Corner as a place is something of great strategical importance for the church. It is a platform by which the church can reach the world. There are tens of thousands of people that tune in on a weekly basis to listen to the nutters in this corner debate with one another, come rain, snow or sunshine. Tens of thousands across the world. Soco Films has been watched by 1 million people. 13,000 of those people were inside Saudi Arabia. And the average viewing time was 15 minutes. So that means that for 15 minutes, people in a closed country were being exposed to the Christian truth, which might prompt them to go on and investigate. The church avoids Speaker's Corner because our spirituality in the Western church has become one for wimps, effeminate blokes, and masculine women. The church in the West has become a caricature of itself because it has lost that masculine faith, that muscular faith that can stand up for itself, stand up for what it believes, stand up for its own values, and most importantly, stand up for its own community the church, the people of God. And the result of that means that the church seeks to avoid conflict at all costs, which is completely contrary to the Christian faith. That the prophet Hosea said that a people without a vision have no future. That a people without a vision don't prosper. That a people without a vision become lost. The church at this moment in time in the West is led by cowards who have no vision for the church to be triumphant and have no desire to see the church triumphant over all of its enemies. And it does have enemies. We as Christians must rediscover what it means to listen to Christ's words and be his disciples when he said, "Fear no man, for man can only destroy the body, but fear him whom, having destroyed the body, can then cast the soul into hell." We as Christians must rediscover what it means to fear no one but God. The Apostle John, in the book of the Apocalypse, or Revelations, as it's otherwise known, lists amongst the sins that will cast you into hell, he lists cowardice as one of those things. Cowardice. And yet the church is truly led by cowards. And the Western church has truly become cowardly. When it avoids confrontation, it defeats itself. This platform is of strategical importance. SC Dawah, one of the Islamist channels that work here at the corner, they are followed by 40,000 people from across the world. Soco Films is followed by 3,000. 5,000. Oh, JC's just corrected me. It's 5,000 people from across the world. If the church does not realize that kind of strategical importance, then I question the competence of the leadership of the church. Christians need to be here, and we need to be here in teams. We need to have cameramen, and we need to have evangelists. And we need to have evangelists who know how to do apologetics and polemics, and who are not easily intimidated, who are secure in their identity in Christ, so that when they run into difficulty, they suddenly don't start wavering in their faith, but just go away and do some more research. The church needs to have teams here because there are many working class folk from around London that are coming here looking for answers, who will never walk into a church, where they will never go on an Alpha course. But they're coming here and they're listening. I think of Alex, who appeared in one of our videos. I think of Kalam. I think of John. I think of people that I know and people that I'm in touch with. The Christians here are outnumbered. And so I say to you, if you are in another country and you can't be here, or you're in another city and you can't be here, then you need to encourage your churches to learn apologetics. Now, for some of you, that means learning apologetics against atheism. For some of you, it means learning apologetics against Buddhism. And for some of you, it means learning apologetics against Islam. But you need to be encouraging churches to learn apologetics, because we as Christians, we need, as the Apostle Paul instructs us, to be able to give be able to give an answer for the hope that we have. And that means to be able to capture every thought and give it over in perfect submission to Christ. Not just our thoughts, but the thoughts of a society and culture. And that is done through apologetics and polemics. And that needs to be something that is coming from the pulpit, and it needs to be something that's happening in the Bible studies, in the small study groups. It needs to become part of church culture. Against liberal secularism, against Islam, against cultural Marxism, against ethnic nationalism, against nationalism. We as Christians, if we cannot defend our worldview, we cannot communicate it. Speaker's Corner is a place where you can reach tens of thousands of people in just a few minutes. The church needs to be here. Please share this video with your church leaders, telling them the importance of apologetics if you're not in London and if you're in another country. But if you're listening to this and you are in London, then share this video with your church leaders, telling them about the importance and the global reach of Speaker's Corner. Teams need to be formed that are secure in their faith and identity, so that when they hit a difficult question that they can't answer, they don't waver and lose their faith, but they go away and do more research and more study. But it also needs to be with people who are missionary-minded, who can come in teams with their own cameras, with their own evangelists, and start reaching the people here. Because quite frankly, the Christians are outnumbered. We are outnumbered heavily. And whilst we engage with the Muslims, there are many other Muslims engaging with tourists and people who are seeking and questioning, who we can never reach because we're too busy being surrounded by a gaggle of Salafists, screaming and shouting about Abu Snakbar. Now, the fact of the matter is, 40,000 follow SC Dawah. 5,000 follow Soco Films, over 1,000 follow DCCI, and this is a global community reaching into parts of the world where missionaries cannot easily go. Church, you need to recognize that you need to be here. Teams of trained evangelists. The church has enough money to send the professionals, and the church should send the professionals. We as Christians have no problem with paid missionaries. It's the way the church has always worked. So why is it that volunteers like myself, who are not a missionary, are here? Evangelists like Hatun and DCCI are here, but the church is not supporting them. Shame on you, church leadership, for not having the competence to see the strategic importance of this place, and not having the courage to send people here, and not having the culture to raise a muscular Christian and a muscular Christian faith that can stand up for itself. You're failing the church and you're failing the world.